Now, we've got our last speaker for this boot camp, and then we're going to finish off with our 12-week game plan at the end of this. So you guys have all heard me talk about Ari Galper, especially our VIP guys. You've all heard me talk about Ari Galper a lot. When we talk about languaging, we've got members of our group, Ari, who still remember you from last time, that we actually refer back to your videos all the time with the languaging, and we still get results, don't we, for the guys that use it. We still use it as a framework to how people have conversations and build trust. So Ari Galper, he is the world's leading expert in trust-based selling. It's something that I don't know anybody else that does it nearly as good as Ari. He has spoken on, like I said to you before, some of the biggest stages in the world. He's shared stages with Tony Robbins and some of the biggest speakers. So I am absolutely honoured and humbled to have you down here, Ari. You know I'm a very big fan of yours, and we've got lots of mutual friends. So, guys, if you actually, we might play the intro. So if you quickly just want to watch the quick intro of Ari.
Mr. Ari Galper.
Ari Galper.
Ari Galper.
Ari Galper.
Ari Galper was born on the 19th of September 1966 in San Diego, California. A promising athlete, Ari went on to study at UCLA, where he was an invaluable member of their top-ranking national debate team. During this time, Ari started to step into the world of sales and success. Month after month, Ari was #1 in sales for the companies he worked for. At age 21, Ari was already showing his colours as a young entrepreneur, starting his first business, Cellcom, in 1988. After his first business venture, Ari moved to Atlanta, Georgia for bigger and better opportunities, and was immediately discovered by the Fortune 100 company UPS with his innovative business card mini resume. Having first-hand experience working with thousands of salespeople from all around the world, Ari discovered a new way to sell based on integrity and trust without using sales pressure, which was the foundation for his groundbreaking new sales approach, Unlock the Game.
Your goal is no longer the sale anymore. Your goal is what? The truth.
Ari became a top sales expert and was invited to be a key contributor in many best-selling sales and business books. And with his unique sales insight, has been featured on Forbes.com, CNN, and Sky News.
The minute they start selling something, get rejected, they walk away. What they don't realize is rejection is triggered by what they're saying or doing. There are certain things you can do to remove rejection and still make the sale.
In 2003, Ari moved to Australia, where he married his soulmate Michelle and had 3 beautiful children, Toby, Nathan, and Jamie. With a master's degree in instructional design, Ari is now recognized worldwide as the #1 trust-based sales expert, and Unlock the Game has tens of thousands of subscribers from 38 different countries.
That's the way we roll. Get up, everybody, put your hands together for Ari Galper.
That always works. I don't know. Thank you so much. Great to be here. That always works for some reason. I just say, get up. Why should I say it? Everyone else. So great to be here. I want to first of all say I'm really excited to be here. I was here, I think, 2 years ago, was it? We started out? Yeah. How many of you saw me 2 years ago? Raise your hand if you saw me before. Just a couple live. So the rest of you saw me in video, I guess. A few of you in the room. All right, fantastic. So Steve told me to come back here and rock your world, basically, to compress some intensity, about 90 minutes, and to really give you a whole new way of thinking about selling and take what I've given you originally to a new level. But I want to first start by dedicating today's talk to my grandmother. She passed away last year. She was 101 years old, and she had her own business, just like all of us in the room, you know, and she really grew it, and she passed away last year, and she left me some interesting phrases and key wisdom. And it was appropriate to mention that today because she left me with this one phrase I'll never forget. She said to me, Ari, successful people are made in good times and in bad times, which means the times have nothing to do with it. I was like, now that makes sense. It's all about your mindset, how open you are to thinking differently and letting go of your preconceived notions and be willing to change. So that's kind of the theme of today, is to kind of let go of certain elements of what you believe selling's about and begin to expand and challenge your thinking around that. So a bit about me. You probably got the accent. I'm from the US, but I live here now. Been in Australia for at least 11 years, married an Aussie. I met my wife on a dating site 11 years ago online, and I couldn't help but to use my trust-based sales process. Next thing I know, we're getting married at the Star City Casino at the Opera House in Sydney. I came out here to visit her, and we got married there. And we came back to the U.S. to actually start my business there. And after about 3 months of being in the U.S., a little gift came into our lives, and that's our son, Toby. He's a very special boy. And because he has special needs, we decided to bring him back over here. But my wife has 3 generations of cousins within 5 kilometers of where they live, cousins, nephews, and kids. And so I had a small family across the whole country. And anyways, isn't this a great country for kids, bringing up children? It's a great place. So we moved back here, and we had our second son, Nathan, and our daughter, Jamie. That's the time we back at home. And I live near Bondi in Sydney. We were with the Irwins just recently. Anyone there, Australia Zoo before? Incredible place. So they actually knew who I was. It was incredible. I was like, you know me? I know who you are, you know? So they were really neat people. But a bit about me. I've been in quite a few books already in this country. You may have heard of Dale Beaumont. He has a series of books called Secrets Exposed series for top professionals, and I was a top sales professional in that book, and also his online entrepreneur book as well. There's a guy in the U.S. named Dan Kennedy. I don't know if you know him at all. He's kind of a direct marketing legend. I'm in all of his books as an expert that he has. But the book I'm most proud of, that I'm most profound to me, is this one here. This is called Lessons from Toby. When my son was born, after about 3 hours after he was born, the doctors told us that he had Down syndrome. And at first, we had no idea what that meant to us. We realized what a gift we had in our lives. Who in this room knows a Down syndrome person? Anybody? What is the language they communicate with? What love? They're transparent. They have no hidden agenda. They are authentic. And those are the qualities that's missing in the world of what? Selling. I was like, he is the guiding light. And I just appreciated so much about the way he views the world that I wrote a book about him called Lessons from Toby, How to Stay Centered in Your Personal and Business Life with a little lesson every single day. And he's really the guru behind the guru. So our whole philosophy, our whole sales process is based on his view of the world. It's a very different approach today. It's not what you typically imagine of closing people harder and pressuring people. It's through authenticity and trust that will actually grow your company. And I believe that the new currency, now the way the world's changed, is not money anymore, it's trust. And the more trust you convey to your customers and to your marketplace, the more likely they'll be willing to actually do business with you. Does that make sense? That's kind of the theme behind today's talk. So Unlock the Game is kind of our brand. I've been at this for about 15 years now, a long time. We have a lot of big companies who have adopted our philosophies all over the world, big corporates. A guy named, you may have heard of Brian Tracy. He's kind of a big supporter of ours. Also, a lot of small businesses all over Australia, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide, in all kinds of industries. I mean, you can imagine coaches, consultants, real estate, construction companies, printing services, you name it. They're all coming our way now because they're realizing that it's hard to compete anymore on what you're selling because what you're selling has become commoditized. With the internet, clients are viewing you the same as somebody else. How do you differentiate? Well, we discovered and realized that if you can differentiate based on how you sell versus what you sell, that now becomes a whole new ocean of differentiation that you can't do on your own. How many in the room right now are feeling some sense of being commoditized? Someone says to you, I want to go with you, but I see someone else is cheaper. Anyone get that at all? Any kind of feeling like you're being compared to somebody else? A lot? We think they're comparing us. But you know what's happening in reality? They're actually ranking us. Ranking you based on how much trust you convey and how much authority you convey, okay? Today is about trust, but it's a whole different way of thinking, the way the world's changed around shopping around. So I'm gonna cover, here's our business model. I'm covering today the whole green area, the fast results, languaging, tactical selling. Folks who are consultants or business owners who sell professional services, we have a model for those people who we take them through a leverage model where they become an authority in their marketplace, generate leads and sales. But today we're talking about number one, fast results. Does that sound good? Get you guys some action right away. I'm going to walk you through right now on the screen a very brief model of the sales process and kind of show you how we fit into the whole scheme of selling, okay? How many in the room do outbound calls? Like you make calls to kind of get customers as much as you can, to some extent. How about leads? You get leads at all? I mean, you call back a lead, right? Referrals? All right, so somewhere in your process, what happens is there's a contact with a customer, right? If that goes well, then hopefully you do what? You ask some questions, fair enough so far? If that goes well, then hopefully you schedule an appointment with them or get together for coffee or come to your office or either way, right? Pretty basic so far, I know, but probably applies to most of you in the room. Then hopefully at that point, you make a presentation or describe what you do. If all goes well, hopefully then what? You follow up, and then that goes well, what's supposed to happen next? Make the sale, right? So how many of you right now have potential prospects or clients somewhere in your process who have not closed yet, but are kind of in that follow-up stage and you're now chasing them? Anyone chasing clients right now? Probably nobody here, I can't imagine anybody here chasing. Anybody chasing what I call ghosts? You know what ghosts are? People who say they're interested, they even tell you they want to move forward, and now you're on the phone and emailing them, trying to catch them, get them back again, and for some reason, they haven't called you back. Anybody have any ghosts right now you're chasing? I would imagine most people in this room are probably chasing quite a few ghosts. You know why that's happening? What do you think? Because somewhere along the way in your process, you are focusing on selling and not building trust between or on top of your process. That's a whole head shift in itself, because you've been conditioned over the years that your job is to go out and do what? Make a sale. And I'll challenge you today and confront you. That conditioning, that kind of thinking is the problem. The world has changed so much that if we use old techniques, old processes, old sales languaging, they can feel that from us like in a second. And in their mind, it's over. But we keep selling anyways. So if you can put trust inside your sales process, you'll get a major breakthrough. I mean, it'll just change your whole world. Sales will come in, no more chasing. It'll be pretty radical. That's the whole goal of today's talk. Does that sound good? Awesome. Okay. So Harvard did a study on actually business and selling just recently. And they made a very astute conclusion. And their conclusion was this, that people respond more positively to someone who comes across as trustworthy rather than competent. Now that's interesting, because we are taught if we're good at what we do and we can solve their problem, well, by gosh, that should be enough to do what? To make the what? Sale. What they are saying is, if you aren't actually building trust first prior to displaying your competence, pitching what you do, you've lost the sale there. I'll tell you a quick story about this. I had a company hire me last year, a financial services company, and they hired me to come in and solve a problem for them. They had leads coming in. They offered a free consultation for their advisors, but they couldn't convert the leads to customers. They couldn't figure out why. They came in for a free consultation for the advisor. I sat on the couch kind of as an observer. The customer would walk in front of the advisor and begin describing the problems to the financial advisor for the free consultation, right? And as the advisor would take notes and would write down the challenges that the customer would be having. It makes sense, right? And as he wrote down the problems, the minute one of the problems was written down, he'd respond with what? What do you think? The solutions. Because he's been trained to believe all he has to do is show them his what? Competence. I'm professional. I just solve problems. If I can solve their problem, well, my gosh, I'm done selling. That's it. So he would literally just respond back with the answers, great conversation, prospect was happy, they shake hands, what would happen next? Walk up the door and never buy anything. What was that person missing the entire time? He did not know, the whole company had no notion of how to display, convey, or develop trust in the sales conversation. It was a shock to them, because they've been trained to believe with their degrees and their competency and being good at what you do is enough to just make it. Not anymore. You want to know why? Because this is a crazy idea, but I believe it's true. Competency has become commoditized. Right? There are a lot of people that do a lot of things now. A lot of insurance guys, a lot of construction guys, a lot. So you can't compete anymore on just solving the problem. You've got to be the best at building what first? Trust. And that is what I'm going to give you today, a whole way of thinking and body work around this to kind of change your whole business to realize your identity is no longer about your solution. It's all going to be about now building trust with the customer around their world, not yours. And that'll be a real letting go of a lot of you in this room who are used to kind of just, talking about your. How many in this room love what you do? I mean, you're passionate about what you do. You're so passionate, you can't wait to what? To just tell people about it. But what happens if you're passionate with someone who doesn't know you yet? What are they thinking? It's over. So I'm going to challenge you in many ways today about what you think is right about selling, to clean up the whole ghost thing, bring customers back in, and realize it's time for a new skill set. It's a missing gray area that maybe until today wasn't as clear as it was. Does that sound good? All right, great. So here's a big wake-up call. Wake-up call is this. It's no longer about your service, about your benefits, or about your product. It's now, I know it's crazy. Now it's about how good you are at connecting with people. Wow, I thought my product was the best one in the marketplace. We're the best fitness place. We're the best coach. We're the best insurance agent. I thought since we're the best, well, what? Personal connection is where it's at. How good you and your team and your company is at building trust within that sales conversation. That's the one element. If you refine that and master that, you'll be so far ahead of anybody else, income-wise and positioning, they won't be able to get close to you. Next thing is that people want to work with someone they feel comfortable with, right? And that comfort level is how you differentiate yourself versus somebody else, all right? So here's a little secret for you. In many cases, your potential clients in your process don't believe what? Your intentions, right? What do they think that your goal is when you talk to them about your business? What do they think that your goal is? To make the sale. That's their coming into the relationship already thinking he or she, they're going to try and sell me what they have. They don't believe that you care about them. I mean, I'm sure all of you have your heart in the right place, but somewhere in your process, the perception is that you're just there to make that sale. And that wall is what we need to break down quickly to kind of get past what's going on out there in the world today, okay? So here's what happens to happen today. That's my goal. This is my goal. I'm going to shift you from the idea of selling what you have to becoming what I call a trusted confidant with your clients, a prospect, a trusted confidant. You know what that's defined as? Defined as this. Friend or associate to whom secrets are confided or to which problems are discussed or private matters are discussed. Who in this room believes that you have right now that level of relationship with your clients? A few, yeah. And how many of you have that level of relationship before they become a client? Before they become a client, in the sales process. So, yeah, great. We're going to take this trusted confidant concept and move it from they already know me to putting it over here where they don't know you, to build that trust prior to them becoming a client. I had a guy said to me, Ari, I'm a trusted advisor. Oh, that's what I'm a trusted advisor. I said, you're a trusted advisor, of course you are, once they're on board with you, but before they don't know who you are. You're not an advisor. It's a whole different concept, okay? So here's the interesting thing. People think if they have a great product and service, they're good at what they do, they're professional, they have a great presence, they got social media, website, they have marketing materials, they have some leads, some resources, and they can sell pretty well. Well, that should be enough to make enough money, crack 6 figures, 7 figures, and be successful. That was great up until 3 or 4 years ago, until the world changed in terms of trust levels. But now, that is only half of the solution. If you have that half, great, but that's as far as you'll go. The second half is actually trust. And the final piece of the puzzle is this. I'm going to move you today from the idea of credibility and competence in pitching your solution to believability and trust. That's what we're going to shift you today to realize there's a separation there and get you real clear on that process. So I'm going to walk you through right now what I call 4 hidden trust barriers that hold a lot of business owners back. All right, you let me know if you resonate with this or not. Number 1, the last thing you want to do is be connected to what? The salesperson stereotype, right? We got to move you from the traditional idea of closing a sale, because we've been trained to do that, to trust-based selling where you open the dialogue and the sale happens at the beginning and not the end. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2 is you don't have to experience again what I call the silent treatment. And right now, some in the room are chasing ghosts who have not called you what? Back. You're getting what I call the silent treatment right now, right? Who's got that, right? You've called them, they're calling you back, voicemail, and now you're chasing them. So we gotta move you from this, where it feels like work. It feels like I'm chasing somebody, to a platform where it's a relationship, there's a partnership in the conversation. They feel comfortable telling you the truth. They don't have to hold back from you. Why do you suppose that your potential clients you're chasing right now don't just call you back and tell you the truth? And just tell you that either we're not going to go with you or whatever. Why don't they just tell you that? Why don't they just call you back? Well, why don't they just call you back and tell you the truth? Well, one, they don't want to hurt your feelings in case that it's over. And two, they'd rather just pull back and let you chase them because that's the way the world works in their mind. So we have to get to the point with, or you get to the point with the customer where they feel comfortable telling you what? The truth. Up front in your process, you don't chase people who aren't a fit for you. That's the whole kind of objective overall, okay? So number 3 is, you don't have to be ever again after today in a position to defend yourself, right? If someone says to you, why should I choose your company over someone else? Why should I choose your first service over somebody else? Why should I choose you over someone else? What's our first reaction to that when someone says to you, why should I go with you? What's our reaction to that right away without thinking? What do? We say, we start to do what? We start to defend, right? Well, we say, well, wait, we're the #1 franchise in this area. Wait, no. We're the #1. We start to defend ourselves, right? And so we gotta move you from here, what I call fight or flight mode. Defending is fight mode. Well, because we're the #1 in the area. The flight mode is, oh, well, it's where you go passive. Usually what happens to people in business, they either try to overcome it, or they just do what instead? They just sort of, I'll go back to Facebook and put some more posts today because I don't want to sell anymore because it's safer over there. We pull back away. So I'm going to give you today a middle ground where you can feel confident, re-engaging somebody, still keep the relationship intact, and identify if you and them are a fit or not. And that has to have you stay very centered with people, and yourself and with them. Okay? Number 4 is, you don't want to have to be in a position anymore after today of chasing potential clients again. We got to move you from chasing what I call ghosts to working only with people who are a what? A fit. And today I'm going to give you a process and languaging to help bring out your prospects and clients early in your process so you know up front if they're a fit. That way you don't have to chase anybody anymore. Does that sound like a really amazing thing to do? That is an incredible thing to do. And that comes from self-confidence, the words to use, and the right mindset all connected together, which actually ends up just being your natural self anyways. Okay? So for a moment at your table, why don't you share with your table there what some of these barriers here are your own barriers that are holding you back, you believe right now, to increasing your sales. What are your barriers that you believe holding you back? For a couple minutes, get your table there and chat together. We'll come back in a minute, okay? Go ahead. So what came up in your dialogues? What came up right now for you that you believe is resonating with you, that what you heard so far is happening in your world? Who wants to share one idea? Yes, over here.
We have difficulty with agencies dealing with major clients, so I have to filter things through them. They have a very large staff turnover and a very low care factor because you've got a lot of young, new marketing. So actually building relationships at that end is quite difficult.
With the middle layer, right?
Yeah,
between the customer.
We have to do it through
That's
the
tough.
client direct as well without treading on their toes.
Right, you're going to walk on eggshells with that relationship, don't you?
And then it turns over really quickly.
Big turnover.
If one of our contacts there for 12 months, it'd be to me.
Yeah. Do an entire presentation finally.
And they leave.
Yeah, they leave.
This is more of a business model challenge. We can talk about it offshore about how you're doing your business. We'll discuss that later. Okay, oh, that can be fixed. Okay, what else over here? Yes.
So talking about a barrier, so we teach sort of an education business, and we're seeing that a lot of people don't actually value the relationship. We definitely have to trust, otherwise, I mean, their kids are put in our care,
Right.
and they wouldn't do that if they didn't trust.
Sure,
them,
of course.
obviously.
Trust is there.
But when they don't come, and you're literally devaluing your time, they're not valuing the relationship. So that's a real barrier for our sales, because they pick a time, and for the whole year, that's their time. So we've got that repeat business there, but there's nothing much you can do. Like you call them, they won't answer, then they'll text back, a few days later, oh, sorry, I forgot.
Right.
But that's.
It's not a priority for them. Not a priority. Not a priority. Interesting. Okay. Anything else over here about what you're hearing so far that resonates in your world somewhere? It's happening with you right now in your business. Only one at a time. I can't do all at one time. I can't. It's not enough time. Only one. There's one.
I've
Yeah.
got down history, previous experience,
Okay.
what mum and dad did, what my grandfather did, because we were in a veterinary clinic, and so they go by what mum and dad did to bring up their animals, and
Uh-huh.
my cousin does bring up their animals, and all the other experiences they have, they put down to their pet when.
So their own framework about how to solve the problem.
How it was done before.
But you have a different way of solving the problem? Or you have a different way of helping the pet?
Well, there are better ways than what worked before.
I see.
Rather
Okay,
than
that's like preset expectations of what they. Okay, interesting. All right, this is good stuff. I'm going to walk you through right now some of the myths that I think are still maybe in the back of your mind about what selling should be like. We'll kind of clean that out a little bit, move into some of the principles and some of the languaging. Okay, so let's walk through a few things here. Sales myth number one: sales is a what game? Is that a pretty common notion in your businesses? Yeah. Where do you suppose that idea came from? That concept? The sales is a numbers game. What's it? It came from first making a phone call, got rejected, and their boss said what? Just keep calling. Because the more calls you're supposed to make, what's supposed to happen next? The more sales you're supposed to make. You know what we figured out? We discovered in this day and age now, it's not anymore about how many contacts you make, it's about how deep you go on each conversation. How good you are at trust building, not how good you are at how many contacts you make. That's like going from surface level to deep level. It's a different way of thinking altogether. Number two, the sales lost at the end of the process. Who in the room, is one of the myths, has had a deal pending, it was about to come in, you were waiting for it to come in, it fell through at the end? Who's been there before? You know what I'm talking about? You work hard for it, it all comes through at the end, it falls through. What goes through your mind when that happens? What do you say to yourself? When that happens, when you work hard for it and it falls through, you say to yourself what? You start blaming who? Yourself. Or you start blaming them. We discovered the sale now is lost, not at the end anymore, it's lost where? At the beginning, right? If someone calls your office tomorrow morning and the phone rings, you pick it up and you hear this: hi, my name is, we are a, we do, what goes through your mind in about 3 seconds? It's over where? At hello. I'll make the case today that many of you in this room are losing most of your revenue and sales not at the end of your process, you're losing it where? At the beginning, okay? Overcome objections, right? What happens if you try to overcome someone's objection, what they're telling you is true? What do you break right there if you try to overcome it? They're telling you what they believe is true, but you try to kind of overcome it. What do you risk right there with them? Trust, exactly. So in our world, we don't overcome objections. What we do is we diffuse objections. We bring the walls down to re-engage again. And today, I'm going to spend some time as extra content to give you some languaging on how to diffuse objections. You're going to actually love that part of it, because you can take it back tomorrow and use it right away, and you go like, wow, this is incredible, okay? We'll cover that. Rejection is a normal part of selling. Is that a pretty common notion in sales, right? Where did that idea came from, that concept? Rejection is part of the game. You got to get out there and just hustle and get, yeah, same guy, right. We met the first one. It's kind of a macho, male, testosterone. If you can't take a no, if you're not tough enough, you're not made for what? Success. You know what we discovered? Rejection actually is triggered by certain things you say and do that causes other people to pull back on you and not tell you where they stand. I'll give you those triggers today, okay? So there's more here. People are prospects now, they're actually human beings. Always be closing with a sales pitch? No. Try opening a two-way conversation first. A lot of myths here. Focus on getting the sale. We say, focus on solving the problem, not getting the sale. That's a shift in itself. Focus on getting the yes. We say, focusing into a deep level, so you don't chase people, and don't defend yourself. Defending is selling, okay? So now I'm going to get into it now. I'm going to walk you through a shift, and we're going to go through a mindset shift, and what that mindset shift looks like is basically this. I'm going to first change your approach to selling. When you change your approach, your clients respond differently to you, and I think you experienced that so far, this gentleman in the front, since he saw me 2 years ago, and you'll make more sales, because you'll change your approach, your clients will change the way they approach you, and then things will start to happen right away. So how you do that is you do three things. One is you want to stay as humble as possible, you want to be as authentic as possible, And you want to be okay with the idea of apologizing to people if you feel like you're chasing them too much, okay? And walk that through that in just a little bit, all right? So I'm going to walk you through, how many in the room, the way your minds work, you're a bit more analytical? Like you like things organized in numbers, sequences, like that kind of, you're an engineer, got your brain, I'm like that. I don't know. How about like flow charts? Flow charts turn you on. Flow chart, now I got it. This trust stuff is so abstract. Show it to me in a flow chart with some arrows, now I got this thing. Whenever I speak as an engineer, I always say, show it to me in a flow chart, then I'll get it. I said, fair enough, here's what I'll do. So I have a flow chart for you of what our process is, to break it down, so you have a mental framework and model of how we're gonna kind of make this work easily in your lives, okay? It goes like this. The first step is you focus on the truth with the customer and not the end goal of the sale. When you focus on that, what happens is the walls come down between you and them. When the walls come down, they feel comfortable opening up to you and telling you what the truth is, what their problems are. When you know that up front, for the first time, you and them can determine together if both of you are a what? If you're a fit. And if you're a fit, then great. You move forward to working together, making a sale. If you're not a fit, then you walk away with integrity. Now here's where we're different. That little symbol there, the fit symbol. Because in sales, we are taught to chase anything that what? Moves, right? We get a lead, what do? We go. Referral, what do right away? We're so conditioned and wired to chase. Our instinct, when we see opportunities to go after that goal, we have no framework to first figure out if that opportunity is a what first with us. So imagine if today I gave you a way to find out with people if they're fit with you early on in your process. You don't just chase people hoping they're going to sell at the end. That'll erase all the chasing from your whole business. And you'll see what will happen with people. They'll just go, wow, I like the way she operates with it because she's not trying to chase me, but she's really trying to figure out if we're a fit or not. If we put that part in the front of your sales process, everything will change, okay? So to do this, we need to introduce you to some of our core principles. And those of you who saw my videos, you probably have seen this before. I want to remind you of this one more time, behind our principle, behind our mindset, okay? Our core principle number one is the idea of diffusing pressure. Diffusing pressure in the conversation. How many have heard of the martial art from Japan called Aikido? Anybody heard of that before? Yeah? Have you heard of like karate, taekwondo? Obviously you probably have, right? In those kind of art, they're very linear. So if somebody kind of attacks you with a punch or a hit, what's the response back in those arts? What do? You block or you what? You punch, right? It's resistance against what? Resistance. With Aikido, you know what you do? Anybody? If you're being attacked by someone, will you might get up for a second? You won't get hurt, I promise. Wake up for a second, show a quick second. No one will be hurt, I promise you, no liability issues, no insurance problems. No, just kidding. Yeah, exactly. But just stick your arm out for a second. Stick your arm out for a second, Johnny. Yeah, so in karate, if you're attacked, what do? You block or you punch, right? In Aikido, if someone comes at you, who knows what you do? So stick your arm up a second, right? So what you do is you step over here and you diffuse the energy. You diffuse the conflict. That make sense? Round of applause for Stephen. All right. All right, so our whole system is based on Aikido. It's based upon the notion that when you sense pressure from people or customers, rather than trying to do what? Push on it, you do what instead? You diffuse it. You diffuse the pressure and the tension in the conversation to allow the trust to emerge. Because normally right now, pre-Ari, prior to today, before you met me, if you felt pressure from people in the sales process, your instinct would be to start doing what? Go around it, push back, go over it, because you've been conditioned to believe prior to today that your goal is to move things where? Forward, right? I'm going to suggest today that your goal is not anymore to move things forward. Your goal is to go deep with people, right there and then, to figure out if both of you are fit or not, to save yourself a lot of time, okay? So basically, the idea is you want to use the energy of theirs to diffuse the conversation rather than try and put pressure on the moment to chase them and get what you want to get from them, basically. And that's kind of the idea behind avoiding all the aggression and the pressure behind what people hate about sales so much, because we're so conditioned to chase people so much, okay? So it has to be very fluid, natural dialogue back and forth between both people. Number two is the idea of getting to the truth with people. What does that mean? People say, Ari, what does that mean? It sounds so abstract. What that means is having your clients and prospects feel comfortable telling you where they stand every step of the way. He was telling me just now, he's chasing somebody, and they haven't told him where they what? Stand. He doesn't know where they stand. They haven't called him back. They have very nice dialogue, very nice conversation, very good people, cup of coffee, but we don't know where they stand. So if I can help you today move from this. See, here's what happens. Many times in sales, we see at the top level people, at the service level. We're up here, how's your business going? You want to quote, fantastic, great. We're kind of up here the whole time. It's what I call surface level conversation. I need to move you to a level where with your clients, you're moving down to the truth level. You know, the iceberg? So a lot of you right now are up here in your process. How's it going? You want to build a house? Great. You want what are you trying to solve? And you kind of go along the way up here, but you never get down to where? Because you've been trained to believe your job is just keep going with this as far as you can. They should be buying at the end. But you're telling me right now you're chasing people, right? It's because up until today, there's been no way or any permission to actually go this direction down. If I can move you down like this, you'll watch the entire shift change with clients right away in front of you and on the phone and start working with you. And to do that, we're going to use trust-based languaging. I'll share with you in a few minutes, okay? So does that make sense? We're going to move you from surface-level communication, which a lot of you are doing right now with people on the phone. Very casual. Hey, how's it going? Your proposal yet? What do you think? Which follow up? It's kind of up here to down here. That's where we need to go to connect with people, right? So number 3 principle is the idea of being a problem solver, versus being pitching what you do. How many of you go to those networking meetings? They have them over here, like the BNI meetings, like you meet with people, you get business cards out in the morning. They have those over here, and then everyone gets 5 minutes, right? And you get up, and they say to you, okay, give us your best what? And you say, hi, my name is, I am a, we are a, what is that? Pitch, right? And it goes in where? Here, and it goes out the other area. See, we're so connected. Our identity is so tied to our solution. When people say what we do, we start talking about what? Our stuff. I'm a builder. I'm a designer. I'm a contractor. I have a school. The minute you want to start sharing your solution, right? When you start talking about your solution, that bypasses their problem. Now, what if I help you today figure out a way to hold back on your solution and focus only on the problems you help people solve? So someone says to you, what do you do? Oh, we help businesses solve these problems. 1, 2, 3. That's all we do. I still don't know what your solution is yet, because your solution, too premature in the sales process, ends the trust. They don't want to hear the solutions. They want to hear someone who can first connect with what? Their problems. That's a whole shift in itself by converting your solution into the problems you help people solve. Can you imagine that? People say, what do you do? Oh, well, we help, people get healthier, get more confidence, and feel good about themselves. That's what we do. Well, okay, now who would not want that? Now, if I'm going to say, well, I'm a coach, we have a gym, we exercise, we do aerobics, we have machines, and I can come to your house, and we're really good at what we do. Now, what is that? It's over at hello. I know it sounds crazy because every day you do this. Some of you in the room, this is kind of what business is supposed to be about. You're supposed to be just publicizing yourself, your 30-second pitch, right? You heard that before? Like elevator pitch thing, And you're supposed to be enthusiastic, and gosh, all those things should be working. Unfortunately, the world has shifted so much, those things actually push people further away from you. Isn't that crazy, that whole notion? Up until today, you thought that's what sales is supposed to be about, just promoting yourself and pitching yourself. I gave a talk 2 weeks ago, a big audience. I kind of spent the whole day talking about the idea of not starting the conversation with the solution with people. Just talk about first if does it match with the problem. So one guy at the end, he walked up to me on stage and he says, in case you ever need a chiropractor, here's my business card. I was like, why are we starting at the end of the process? Why do you first start with I got a problem or not? It's just too embedded in the brain? Somebody in the room might be kind of hard-headed around that because you're still used to, here's what I do. But if I can shift you to this new place with people, they'll resonate because they'll I got that problem. And now it changes the whole dynamic. Does that make sense? Who's enjoying this so far? Is it groundbreaking stuff? I know I'm kind of challenging your thinking, but it's the only way to make your business skyrocket. Because many in this room, your money is being made or lost in the conversation. Is that true? I mean, you can do all the marketing in the world, the lead generation, the website, social media. I mean, how many of you make money and never end up talking to a client at all in the process? Anybody in the room? Like strictly e-commerce, like you hit a button, nobody. So everyone in this room talks to human beings first, right? So that's where the one leverage point is in your whole process is how good you are at building trust in the you just work only on that for the next 12 months, watch your business explode. That's the one point juncture in your company that equals money, is the conversation. That's why this is so mission critical. See, I'm a little passionate about this stuff? Because I see it all the time, okay? Now, I want to play a video for you to help cement the mindset behind this. I'm going to walk into the languaging in a minute. I want to play for you a video. Anybody ever seen Sesame Street, a long puppet show? There's a guy named Mr. Rogers. Many years ago, like 30 years ago, he's a puppet show for kids in the US. This is an 8-minute video of him pitching to Congress to get money for his show. Okay? I want you to watch this video and notice how he is handling the sales process. What's he doing, his process. Write some notes down and move on from there, okay? So well, let's see what you can pick up from him, his sales pitch, based on today's talk so far. All right, let's see how we go.
The U.S. Senate held hearings about funding for the newly formed Corporation for Public Broadcasting. A $20 million grant proposed by former President Lyndon Johnson was in jeopardy. President Richard Nixon wanted that amount cut in half. The hearings were chaired by Senator John Pastore.
All right, Rogers, you got the floor.
Senator Pastore, this is a philosophical statement and would take about 10 minutes to read, so I'll not do that. One of the first things that a child learns in a healthy family is trust, and I trust what you have said that you will read this. It's very important to me. I care deeply about children. My first children...
Will it make you happy if you read it?
I'd just like to talk about it, if it's all right. Okay. My first children's program was on WQED 15 years ago, and its budget was $30. Now, with the help of the Sears Roebuck Foundation and National Educational Television, as well as all of the affiliated stations, each station pays to show our program. It's a unique kind of funding in educational television. With this help, now our program has a budget of $6,000. It may sound like quite a difference, but $6,000 pays for less than 2 minutes of cartoons, 2 minutes of animated, what I sometimes say, bombardment. I'm very much concerned, as I know you are, about what's being delivered to our children in this country. And I've worked in the field of child development for 6 years now, trying to understand the inner needs of children. We deal with such things as the inner drama of childhood. We don't have to bop somebody over the head to make him to make drama on the screen. We deal with such things as getting a haircut, or the feelings about brothers and sisters, and the kind of anger that arises in simple family situations. And we speak to it constructively.
How long a program is it?
It's a half hour every day. Most channels schedule it in the noontime as well as in the evening. WETA here has scheduled it in the late afternoon.
Could we get a copy of this so that we can see it? Maybe not today, but I'd like to see the program.
I'd like very much for you to see.
I'd like to see the program itself, or any one of them, you see.
We made 100 programs for EEN, the Eastern Educational Network, and then when the money ran out, people in Boston and Pittsburgh and Chicago all came to the fore and said, we've got to have more of this neighborhood expression of care. And this is what I give. I give an expression of care every day to each child to help him realize that he is unique. I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are. And I feel that if we in public television can only make it clear that feelings are mentionable and manageable, we will have done a great service for mental health. I think that it's much more dramatic that two men could be working out their feelings of anger. Much more dramatic than showing something of gunfire. I'm constantly concerned about what our children are seeing. And for 15 years I have tried in this country and Canada to present what I feel is a meaningful expression of care.
Do you narrate it?
I'm the host, yes. And I do all the puppets, and I write all the music, and I write all the script.
Well, I'm supposed to be a pretty tough guy, and this is the first time I've had goosebumps for the last 2 days.
Well, I'm grateful, not only for your goosebumps, but for your interest in our kind of communication. Could I tell you the words of one of the songs which I feel is very important?
Yes.
This has to do with that good feeling of control, which I feel that the children need to know is there. And it starts out, what do you do with the mad that you feel? And that first line came straight from a child. I work with children, doing puppets in very personal communication with small groups. What do you do with the mad that you feel? When you feel so mad you could bite. When the whole wide world seems oh so wrong, and nothing you do seems very right. What do you do? Do you punch a bag? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up friends for a game of tag or see how fast you go? It's great to be able to stop when you've planned a thing that's wrong and be able to do something else instead. And think this song. I can stop when I want to, can stop when I wish, can stop, 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 anytime. And what a good feeling to feel like this, and know that the feeling is really mine. Know that there's something deep inside that helps us become what we can. For a girl can be someday a lady, and a boy can be someday a man.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. Looks like you just earned the $20 million.
So what happened there? A round of applause, yeah. What happened there? Who can dissect what went on there? What did you notice happened in that whole process? Okay, focused on the problems, not the what. Which is the money. What else happened there? He was being truly authentic about the idea of helping somebody. What else? Being humble. Exactly. What else? Emotional connection. What else? Okay. Find a connection between. What else? What else is he doing? What else did he say? What else did he do? Huh? Told a story. Very open. No hidden what? Which is very contrary to sales, because sales is supposed to hold back in the sale, but in the mind you're thinking, I hope I get the sale, right? What else? What did he verbalize to him quite a bit? Emotion? Yeah. He actually, if you notice, he actually asked permission a lot. Is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if we move forward? Why is that so important to the relationship being built? You're creating space and creating a two-way conversation. So we're so conditioned if we sense an open space, we just try and move it where? Forward. We assume they're interested. We assume it's okay to show a quote now. We don't really ask permission anymore. But you'll learn that the more you can begin to say things like, is it okay if we move to the next step? Is it okay? Are you comfortable with the next? This now begins to have them feel that you actually really care about them, not just your goal of the end goal of the process. Does that make sense? Was that helpful to see that? He was living in the mindset. He was purely authentic. He had no hidden agenda. He was just being there. Yes? Oh, interesting. So the problem itself meant a lot to him to solve. And that's the kind of feeling your clients need to feel from you in terms of your ability to solve their problem. They got a sense that what you care about the most is that as number one priority versus trying to move things towards the end of the sale. Okay? So now we have the mindset in place. I want to move into trust-based languaging. I want to begin to give you words. I invented my own trust-based languaging 10 years ago. My own words and phrases to use. No one else in the world has. I did myself. That you can use in your dialogue with people to swap out certain words you're using right now that might create the wrong impression, that might make them feel like you're just trying to make the sale, all you care about is moving things forward. I'll give you some languaging now, and then I'm going to work with you on objections. I'll go through 4 or 5 common ones that most of you in the room get, give you languaging for that, and I'll give you a chance to ask me what you believe your toughest objection is that you're stuck on. And in the room today, I'll give you languaging for that. Does that sound good? So you walk out today with literally like a cheat sheet of how to handle these scenarios without fight or flight, defending yourself or pulling back, but be your normal self, okay? But before we get started, I'm going to ask you to remove one key phrase from your vocabulary forever as of today. Post-Ari, pre-Ari thing. I joke about that. But I want you to remove this phrase forever as of today. Never use it ever again. And for those of you in the room who what I call affectionately old sales dogs, you've been around the game for a long time, you know selling, you got the books at home, you've been in the corporate training programs, you kind of got the thing wired. This might hurt just a bit. Is that all right? Okay, because I know who you guys are in the room. I was like that a long time ago. Because you feel like you got sales down pretty well. I'm going to ask you to remove this phrase forever as of today. You ready for this? Never again use the word follow-up. Oh, I feel the pain. Who in the last few weeks has called somebody and said, hi, I'm giving you a call to what? To follow up. Who's done that, honestly? How about email? I'm writing you to what? To? What's the only industry in the world that uses the word follow-up? Sales. And you're working so hard to be professional and authentic and heart-centered and nice and easy, but your languaging screams what? I'm here to give you a call to sell you. Your entire image is destroyed by one phrase because you're just used to using words that are sales words. Touch base. Oh, that's a classic one. I love it. Who's done that? Come on, where's the hands? Last few weeks, I'm giving you a call to touch base. That's a classic one. I mean, I know whose book that's from, too. It was Sales Guru who invented that one. How often do you go home and tell your husband, well, let's touch, maybe you do. I won't go to that. Let's not go to touch base part. But what else? What's another classic? What else do we say? I'm giving you a call to what? Tic-tac. Whoa, that's a new one. I heard that one before. Giving you a call just to, who's got it? Check-in. Oh, who's got the check-in when I know? There. Maybe not. So we are so conditioned and wired to use words that are so 1980s that just totally destroy our whole trust-building process because that's all we know to use. When you call someone and say, I'm calling to follow up, what are you really saying? I'm calling to follow up to do what? To move things where? Forward. Moving things forward creates momentum. Momentum puts pressure on people. This sounds crazy. You should not be trying to move things forward anymore in your sales process. What? Am I crazy? That's what selling is supposed to be about. I'm supposed to pull them the next step, and the next step, get them a quote, then close them, again go. That's what selling is supposed to be about. I'm trying to make a case study to tell you that way of thinking is the problem. Because you're trying to pull them down the next step, and they're still over here going, well, do I trust them or not? So the question is, what can we use instead of the word follow-up that does not create momentum moving forward? If you heard my talk before, you made this already, but what can we use instead of follow-up? Okay, what can you say? I'm giving you a call to what? That's nice. I'm doing great. How are you? No, we're good to go. Thank you so much for calling. I love it. You guys are so good. Come at me. Oh, working. This is good. You're working hard to try and go what? I'm doing great. How are you? Now where? See, what you're trying to do is you're trying to go around me now. See, the first you're trying to go over. Now, this is good, though. I love this. You're so brave to try and what I call stump the guru. I love that when I do training. It's stump the guru. Stump me, okay? So here's the phrase. What you want to say is this. I'm giving you a call or a ring to see if you have any feedback. Any feedback on our previous conversation, on our previous quote, on our previous meeting, on our previous whatever it is. What do you suppose happens when you say to somebody, I'm giving you a call, see if you have any feedback? What do they start doing? They start telling you what? The truth. And that is your goal. Not the sale. You have no idea if you're fit or not. You have to first get to a level of people where they feel comfortable telling you the truth where they stand. Otherwise, how do you know if they're fit or not? That one phrase alone could be magic for a lot of you in the room. That's just that one thing. Giving you a call, any feedback about our last meeting we had. You watch what'll happen next. You're like, they start talking and talking. You're like, oh my God, I had no idea. What's going on here? But it's a shocking experience, but you'll love it. It's fun. So that's just one little thing before I get started to give you that thing to pull out of your languaging as of today, hopefully forever. Okay, now, what's important about languaging? Here's the thing. If you use sales languaging, what happens is you're unaware of the fact you're pushing people away from you. Those words alone, your emails you write, the words you use, is actually what takes off the pressure to occur, okay? So we have to make sure that your languaging builds trust, because sales languaging can push people away from you and never. And here's the thing. In Australia, everybody's so nice. Nobody wants to sit down and hurt your feelings. They want to have a cup of coffee and give me a call next week. It was just, don't change, please, you know? Like in America, it was like, don't call me back. Over here, everyone's like, just keep talking. This is great. Stay who you are. But the point is, you don't know where you stand with people, right? Now, here's the thing. Here's a classic languaging. Hey, let's move things where? Forward. Ever again use that. Would you be what? Classic sales languaging. Would you like to explore the possibility of us working together, right? Or how about, oh, I love this one. What would it take to have you become a client of ours? I love that. Some guy called me that. I'm like, are you crazy? Oh, it's classic, sort of, 101, would you like to come more with us? Oh, here it is. I'm just calling a follow-up on a proposal sent last week, right? Sure, I'll send you information and call next week, and I'll chase you down. So let me walk you through some of our languaging, okay? Here's how we're very different. Here's some of our phrases. Our languaging all contains, first of all, 4 elements. Empathy, listening. The words themselves cause you to listen to people better. Does not assume the sale at all, and it helps you be present with people. And lastly, it's congruent with our mindset. Because our mindset is, we don't move forward yet until we are a what? A fit. So it lines up together. What if I gave you the languaging today only and did not preset this whole talk about the mindset? What if I just gave you the words to use? What would you go out and do right away? What would happen to you on the phone tomorrow? If you use my words by themselves without any kind of preset around the mindset, what would happen? They become scripts. Scripts are natural. They're robotic. They're not you. So it must go together. Okay, here we go. Here's a classic one. Would you be what? What word is that replacing sales? Would you be interested? You use the word open instead of the word interested. Why is the word open so different? If you say to someone, would you be open to considering, okay, what else? Okay, open doesn't force them into a yes or a no. See, we're so conditioned to move them to the yes that our narrow channel of words start moving them there, and they can feel like, well, I don't want to go there quite yet. When you say open, they can start where they want to start. Is that fair? That one word alone, if I left today right now and use that tomorrow, watch what will happen. You'll be like, oh my God, Ari was right. They tell me everything. This is crazy. With one word change. Because they can sense you're willing to hear them out regardless of what the result will be. All they want from you is to know that you're okay, get this, with a yes or a no, or what? A no. See, they're afraid that all you want is the yes. So they're going to hold back on you. But they let them know up front, I'm okay if we're not a fit, really. It's okay. Let's just first see if we get, that's just like, sets the tone right away. Because the truth is, you don't know if they're a fitter yet, right? It's not a technique to make the sale here. It's the truth, right? Let's try some more. Does that make sense? That's a key phrase too. Every time we talk to somebody, you need to stop about halfway through and say, does that make sense so far? Why is that important? Does that make sense? Mr. Rogers did that quite a bit. You got to check in. Keep it at, what'll happen a lot of times is, as they're hearing you, you'll feel obligated to keep doing what? Because you, in the back of your mind, you believe, pre-today, that if you slow things down or you stop talking, you might lose the what? What's that? The momentum. Right. So in his mind, till today, he believes if he doesn't keep talking and moving that thing forward, momentum, he loses it. Momentum is what triggers the pressure. So we got to remove the momentum out of your process altogether, so they just feel like you're just there and they can talk to you because there's no agenda to move them forward, right? So also not a problem. I'll cover that in a few minutes. Well, this is a great one too. At the end of the first call with somebody, first call you have with somebody, inbound, outbound, rather than saying, hey, let's move things forward, what you can say is this: where do you think we should go from here? What is that doing? What's happening there? When you say to somebody on your first call with them, where do you think we should go from here? What's happening here? We're shifting to them. What else is going on? Okay, we're trying to create this sort of, like, I don't want to, what? Assume anything. Here's what's interesting about this. If you deliver this with authenticity, with this kind of languaging, they're usually in a state of shock. They can't believe that you're not trying to what? This is shocking. They're not used to calling it business, and all of a sudden, you're just present with people. Right? They're used to being taken out of process, so it's amazing. And if they are a fit, they're going to say to you, well, how about we move forward and discuss what you got, and on their own, they'll do what? You no longer have to take the responsibility of moving them down the process anymore as of today. Is that a relief for some of you in the room? That's probably a burden you carry every day thinking, oh gosh, I got to sell this person, get to the next line. You'll watch, when you master this over time, on their own, they will just take the controls and say, well, how do we move forward on the next step on it? How do you guys work anyways? And you say, well, I'm glad you asked me that question. Here's how we work. You want them to ask you for the next step. If you're doing it now, something's wrong. If you're the one right now saying, hey, let's go next over here, it's because there wasn't enough trust built there, okay? I apologize for that a little while. Here it is, some feedback about our situation. This is kind of an American thing, but you want to circle back to a discussion next week. You don't have to use it if you want. Some Aussies don't like that, but that's okay. This is good. This is great. Where do you suppose that phrase comes into play in a sales conversation? That last phrase there. It might make sense to consider. Where do you suppose you'd use that? Prior to offering your what? Solution. It's the bridge. It's the final bridge without closing somebody to say to somebody, it might make sense to consider a couple options around how you want to solve this problem. That's the bridge everyone's been missing because people are so afraid to try and close somebody. It's so awkward. When you say that, you're asking permission for them to step forward. Is that helpful to have that? That's a key bridging phrase. You use it from now on. Whenever you want to offer them a next step or your program or your product line or anything, you just say, look, it might make sense to consider looking at a couple options. You know, we do have this and we do have that. Would you be what? Open to that. I'm asking permission first to make sure they're okay with me first describing and selling them on my product. What? Am I crazy asking permission first? But that's what creates the trust because I can sense that you are really graceful enough and elegant not to have to assume the sale. And they just engage you right away and they just like, wow, I just love this experience. I want to buy from her because I trust her more than anybody else. Okay? Now, let's get into two objections, okay? This is the fun part, where you can actually break down those walls come at you and you won't be able to be afraid anymore on the phone, or a client pushes back on you on price and you're like, oh, what do I do now? This is the real magic here that'll really change your lives, okay? They give you languaging to be able to handle objections without trying to overcome them and putting pressure on yourselves, okay? So real quickly, I don't know if you know Randall and Trisha, they may have been here in the past, but they're one of my clients, and we just work with them, and they wrote this to me, and they said to me, Ari, we had no idea how many sales we were losing every day by not diffusing objections. And they had a huge turnaround in their business within 90 days, just realizing that one thing alone. Because they were pushing business away by trying to do what? Overcome it. They had no idea. Okay? So there's 3 steps behind how to diffuse objections. Number 1 is to stay centered with people. Don't feel like the fight or flight, just stay centered like a rock. Okay? Number 2 is, how do you do that? First of all, how do you do that? You actually slow down your speech. What did you notice when I said, what do you think we should go from here? What do you notice about that? I slowed. I talk kind of fast, you can see that, right? But when I'm talking to somebody who's a potential relationship, I slow things down. Why is that? When I slow things down, people have a tendency to step forward. If I speed things up, they start doing what? See, this is the part where we're like, wait. My job is to move things forward and talk quickly, because, see, when you lower your voice and you're centered with people and you're calm, people won't feel like you're trying to pull them down a train track to the end. You're just there to what? Listen to them. That's what they want, ultimately, right? Is to have someone they can listen to their problem, they can trust enough to go, help me. But we jump in and start doing what? Selling. That's where all the money's lost, right there, by jumping too quickly in, okay? Number 2 is diffusing pressure. I have a key phrase for that called "That's Not a Problem." I'll cover that with you in a few minutes. Number 3 is re-engage the conversation. So 3 steps. Let's get into it now. Let's do some examples. All right, so who gets this one? We're already happy with her we're currently using. Anyone get that one at all? Maybe not. Maybe it's not. Does it happen to anybody in the room here? We're already using our current X, whatever your competitor? Yeah, anyone get that at all? Yeah? Okay. So what do you, not a trick question, what do you say now? Prior to meeting me today, what would you say to someone? If someone says to you, why should I go with your company or choose you over someone? What would you say now? Previous to that. Oh, we love everything about them. They're fantastic. They're great. They're fantastic.
Raise the differences between your 2 products so that you may be able to offer.
So what would you say? So I'd say to you, we're happy that we're currently using, thank you. What would you say?
That's fantastic, but we also reach an area that publication doesn't currently, and it might be inviting you to consider what else would it offer you on top of that.
Possibly, okay, yeah, what else?
I say I would agree with them first to say that they probably do have a good lender, like a good bank, but they haven't got the best bank. Oh. And I have evidence that can prove this.
Oh, so you can prove me that I'm actually wrong, or prove that you're right, and maybe I'm off. Okay, so I can do. Okay, so what's happening here? He's attempting to try and do what right now? He's working so hard. Thank you. He's trying to build a case to prove to me that what I'm saying is not accurate. This is what we try to defend. He's trying to what do right now? Defend himself by showing he's right. That overcoming the objection is what breaks the trust right there and then, right? And it's funny because here's what we do. We just jump into it, right? So here's how we handle it. Happy with our current provider? The first thing you want to say is, that's not a problem. We're happy with our current builder? That's not a problem. We're happy with our current consultant? That's not a problem. Now, let's stop for a second. What does that phrase in itself do? What's happening here? When I say to them, that's not a problem. What's that? Calmed it down. Right. Take the pressure out. Give you some space. Because in your world, there are no problems. No matter what they tell you, you're going to say from now on, what? That's not slow. See, the tendency is to go fast. See, that's not a problem. This is good. I love this. It's great. See? Because we're still like in the wired mode. When you do that, what happens? It doesn't see. When you say we're using another agency, we're already using our current agency. You're going to say that's not a problem. Now, what are they thinking right now when you're telling them this? What are they thinking right now? They're kind of what? They're kind of like what? They're like, what? They expect you to start doing what? The game is what? Right. That's the game they're used to, manipulating you to go down a level and defend yourself. That's not what we do as human beings. It's not right. You're going to rise above the game as of today. You don't play it anymore. That's step number one. We're using somebody else? That's funny. Not a problem. It slows things what? Down. He's like, oh God, it's too slow. God, I can't handle this. I got to sell something. At first, when people hear me, they go, Ari, are you telling me to stop selling? I'm like, they can't compute that. I'm like, just hang in there. Believe me, you'll realize you'll make so much more money by not selling. And that sounds so contrarian to the fact that, but unfortunately, the world's changed so much, we got to think opposite these days. Right? Okay, that's not a problem. I wasn't looking to replace who you're currently using. I was just wanting to see if you'd be what? Open to a different perspective that you may not be aware of now. What are you saying there in the first phrase there? I'm not looking to what? Replace who you currently have? I have no idea for what first. I fit. I just want to see if you'd be open to some different perspectives around other ideas you may not have yet. Would you be open to that? What do you suppose happens next? They say, well, sure, what do you mean? You've just re-engaged, have now lost the relationship, kept it equal, you're now back in the relationship again. At first, it might feel a bit like, well, but once you kind of make this part of who you are, the mindset, and it's just, you know, you can see it coming, your direction. When you get a black belt at my level, what happens is you see the pressure coming already, you're already moving over here. You ever see like a Aikido masters? You ever see them? Multiple attackers? There's a guy in the middle, a master, and he has 5 guys coming at all at one time, different directions. When one comes the closest, he moves, and moves one into the other ones. He senses before the touch happens where the energy is going. With this, same thing. If someone says you're already using somebody else, that's not a problem. Not a problem at all. I wasn't looking in any way to replace who you're currently using at all. Now what's happening? What are they thinking right now? They're thinking what? Oh, thank goodness. This has been awkward. Just want to be open, some different ideas that you may not have access to now or be aware of. Would you be open to that? Now if they say no to that, you know what you do next? You hang up. As fast as possible. If they're not open to that, then you can just end it. But most people will engage you if you don't defend yourself. Does that make sense? We'll try a couple more before we finish up? All right. How about this one? Anyone get this in all in the room? Who gets this one? Why should I go with your company? Anyone get that? Maybe not. Anyone get that? Why should I choose you guys? Some of you? Right? And what do we say prior to today? What would you say to someone that says to you, why should I choose you versus someone? What do you say? You say what? Because we're the best at what we do. You default to defending yourself, right? So here's what we did instead. Why should I go with you? You ready for this? I'm not quite convinced you should yet. Until we really make sure that we are what together? The last thing I want to do is put pressure on you of trying to convince you to choose us as your solution. What's happening there? What am I doing here? What am I taking out? I'm just removing the pressure. It's all, I'm just taking the pressure out, taking the pressure out, taking the pressure. If I can take the pressure out, it's no longer what now? A conflict. So I'm saying, I'm not even sure we're a fit yet. And last thing I want to do is try and persuade you, convince you to choose us if we're not a fit or not. Is that logical? Is that reasonable? Of course it is. It's natural. Would it make sense for us to look at the actual issues you're trying to solve first? Then we can see if we are a fit together. Is that common sense? You can only deliver that if you're centered and you're calm and you slow things down. Okay? Let's try one more. This is my most favorite of all. Who gets this one? Your price is too high. Yeah, your fees are too high. I'm sorry, you're fine. Compared to someone else, you're a bit on the high side. I'll get the pencil out a little bit. Who gets that kind of some pressure on your, anybody feel pressure right in the market and pricing? Anybody? No, you don't, that's good. I have a theory on the pricing issue. I believe that your potential clients aren't price sensitive. I believe they are risk averse. Meaning, if they trusted you over anybody else, not only would they hire you, but they pay you what? More. Is that possible? You bet it is. It's a trust issue, not a pricing issue. They're negotiating with you, with all the parties, because they don't trust anybody yet. Let's try this now. So someone says your price is too high. How would you respond to that before meeting me today? Just for fun. How would you respond to that prior to meeting me today? Maybe you're already too shifted to the other side now. You'd say what? Your price is too high. What would you say? That's not a problem. It's just good. It's good. That's good. Whoa. Oh, wait. What? What'd you say? Your price is too high. What'd you say? I'll beat it. I'll beat the price. Thank you. That's great. Thank you for that. Now, what's happening here? Remember the whole fight or flight thing? What's happening here? Pulling back. Oh, the price will come down then. What are they hoping that you'll do when they say to you, your price is too high? Drop it. Because that's the game. And we're so used to being manipulated like that, we just go, okay, we can do better. No worries, mate. We'll work something out. Oh, sure, we're flexible, right? Oh, we're happy to work with you. Is that happening to anybody in the room? I mean, maybe not. Because we're so used to sort of like, we're out of words to use. We just don't know what to do, but to kind of just cave in a bit. So let me share with you right now. This is black belt level stuff. I'll give you one right now that you're going to like. Your price is too high? Here it is. In many ways, you're absolutely right. What? Our price can be perceived as high, especially if you haven't had a chance to work with us in some way. What? Am I crazy? What am I doing here? I'm agreeing on this? Am I nuts? I must be crazy. What? What is that phrase in itself doing for the moment? When I say, you know what? You're absolutely right. It can be. Is it true, first of all, that your price can be perceived as high if they haven't used you yet? Is that possible? Of course it is. They haven't used your service yet. They don't know how good you are. On the outside in, it can be seen that way. Is that fair? Of course it's fair. It's logical. It's from their point of view. The last thing I want to do is my favorite here, is to have you feel pressure from me in any way that I'm trying to do what? Persuade you to go our direction. Now, what's that saying there? What are you doing there? By saying to them, I don't want to pressure you to move forward in any way. Giving them an out. What you're saying to them is, I'm okay with a yes or a what? To me, it has equal weighting. Prior to today, for you, it was all about the yes. Now it's about all I want is the truth. Because the truth itself, I don't chase people anymore. Just give me that. And you'll watch what will happen as people go, wow, geez, they're not trying to pressure. I love these people. They're just like so easy to talk to. They're just not trying to pressure me. It's a whole new experience for people. They just sort of, they can't help but to kind of fall in love with you because you're not trying to do what they're used to. People do them every single day. Last thing, would it make sense to relook at the issues that you want to address to make sure we're a good fit? You'll go back to the problems again. Would it make sense? What's the would it make sense part do? What am I doing there? Would it make sense? I'm asking what? Permission. See, normally we'd say, oh, well, let's just get, see, I'm saying, is it okay? Would it make sense for us to kind of go back to what your initial issues are, quantify what you're trying to achieve, then we can really see if we are what together. Helpful? All right, we're going to wrap things up. I can do a whole day on this because I can go through every single one that's people on the table and customize languaging for you. We don't have enough time today. So here's what I'm going to do. One last thing. How many of you in the room would like a copy of my new book on Amazon? Just came out, 15 bucks. So I'm going to give you a copy of my free book. Just go to, that's my free book, just came out. Has languaging, the mindset, and Steve said, give these guys a gift. I said, fair enough, I'll give you a gift. Just go to www.unlockthegame.com/free book. I'll keep it open for 24 hours. Just go online. It's a physical book, not ebook. It's mailed to your house. It's a real book. It's a gift for you, I know. It's not online. It's crazy. What am I doing? I'm going the opposite of everybody else. I do no digital. I do no online. I do nothing. It's all physical. There's a reason for that. That's another seminar on marketing. But when you fill out the form for the book, there's an option there for a complimentary consultation with me or my team. If you click yes, you'll be taken to a calendar. You can select a time to schedule a consultation with my team, and then we'll go through a process. You fill out a form, and then at some point you might get to me, and I'll give you an hour of my time to help customize the languaging for your business, your marketing, and your positioning. This goes way beyond just selling. You realize that, right? Where else can this go in your business? Where can you take this idea in your business? Where else? You'll get there in a minute. Suppliers, where else? Your website, marketing, staff engagement, culture. Oh, there it is. I'll tell you a quick story before we end up. Great. I'll tell you a quick story before I wrap up. Very good. I had a guy last year who saw me speak, and he ran over the stage at the end. He ran up to me, he goes, Ari, I don't care how much your stuff costs or how much it is, I want to buy everything you've ever written ever. I said, are you in sales, sir? He goes, no. I said, are you an entrepreneur? He goes, no. I said, so why are you interested in my material? You know what he says to me? He says, because I have a teenage son. I was like, wow. I said, what's going on? He said, well, here's the thing. He got a brand new car, but he comes home late after curfew every night. He comes home, he runs, comes in, and he's past curfew, and he and I just go at it. We can't connect. It's like, son, you're late. He goes to his room, puts his iPad on, the phone. He shuts down. I want to master the art of trust with my son. He buys our materials, goes through our program, calls me back 3 months later, says to me, Ari, here's what happened. One night he came home past curfew. He walks to the front door. I took a deep breath. I got centered. I pulled my languaging out, and I said to him, son, would you be what? Open to the possibility of you and I working together to solve this problem of you coming home late every night. Would you be open to that? He tells his son this. Now, what do you think his son says next to him after that? What do you think his son says next? He says, are you on drugs, Dad? What are you drinking? What is wrong with you? He's not used to what? He's not used to being connected with. He's used to being just manipulated to get what the father wants. That relationship has totally blossomed. Now his son has become a client, learning our languaging to bring back to school. So our vision behind our company is very simple. That is to change the world through trust. That's it. If I can get you shifting your approach, your clients buying from you, them learning from you how to communicate with people, then we have a chance to change the world in some way, don't we? And that is my goal. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Okay. All right.
Big round of applause.
That's the URL.
Unlockthegame.com/free book. Awesome. Thank you very much.
There as much as I can.
Yeah, awesome. How good's Ari? Yeah? Far out. I just sit at the back, and I actually spent some time with Ari.
Yeah.
In Thailand was the first time we met.
That's right.
And then I come up to your offices.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And this stuff here, like this is gold. The languaging, and we've spoken about it before. But it's funny, we got good stories like with Trisha and Randall that you showed. They did the whole languaging thing, didn't they, within the whole staff?
They engaged our whole company to train their whole staff on this. And what happened was the sales went up, but the languaging started moving around the whole company, like customer service, collections, vendors, and the whole culture changed. And now in meetings they say, would you be open to, they start using all the languaging between each other.
Yeah, which was no good for Randall, because we've had Randall down here. We did a hot seat, and he sat on stage. Do you remember Randall? We did a hot seat? Yeah. But that was no good for Randall, because Trisha would then say, Randall, would you be open to having an honest conversation? Randall's like, oh, what? Why? I don't want to have this honest conversation. I'd rather just yell at each other.
That's crazy.
But it was really, really good. So, and this is good stuff. So have we got any questions for Ari?
Yeah, any last questions before I got to go back? I got the Beatles tonight with the kids, so I got to drive back home. Any last questions about today or your business or anything I can help you with before I go? Do one question. I got to go.
When are you coming back? We'd love to have Ari back.
Exactly. We'll bring something out. I do a master class every quarter. You can go online and check it out if you want. Yeah.
Will.
Let's say you've had a difficult conversation with a client that you want to get back. You've said, like the example before, I had one, they said something, and I foolishly later followed up with an email kind of sending them a document showing that what I was saying was right and they were wrong, and I regret it. What would be the next step to kind of get back into their trust?
Beautiful. Okay, now this is a real zinger. This is like the one thing that will just knock the thing out of the park, and I'm going to give you this to you now because I love Steve. Okay, so here's the thing. What he's saying is, what do we do with our ghosts? We can't chase them anymore, right? We call them back, what's going to happen now? They're all basically lost, aren't they? How do we bring them back alive again? To see if they're real or not. And here's what you do. Basically what you do, and I've got an email around this, but I'll try and give it to you now in my head. What you want to do is essentially you want to call them back or email them back, and you want to apologize. It goes something like this. What's your client's name? Or the person's name?
Emma.
Hi, Emma. What's your name?
Will.
Hi, Emma. It's Will. How are you? Great. Look, I'm giving you a ring not to move things forward. That's the first thing you say. Now, what's happening here? At a role play. She's going, what? Want the wall to come down first. Then you say, I'm just giving you a ring. Only one reason only. And that is to apologize. I haven't heard back from you for a few weeks, and it may be because of me. This is called following your sword. Maybe I dropped the ball. Maybe I tried to pursue you too difficult. Maybe I tried to see more information. Maybe I'd answer. Maybe it was something on my end that didn't make you feel comfortable giving me a ring back. And the only reason I'm calling you is for some feedback, so I can improve for myself in the event we ever end up working together again. What just happened there? What am I saying, basically, to her? I'm saying, it's over. It's over. It's okay. I'm not going to chase you. It's over. You can relax now. I'm done chasing you. I just wanted to get some feedback on how I can improve for next time around. It's amazing. This is an email too. Now, what do you suppose happens next when you deliver this with true sincerity? Because is it possible it's because of you they haven't called you back? Is that possible? You just said it is. It is possible after today, hopefully you realize one word you said could have caused them to not call you back. But if you say, I know it's hard because it's kind of the ego thing, well, it's not my fault. I did everything right. I sold them. I'm proper. But maybe it was you. Maybe your words you used were follow up. Maybe you chased them a bit. Could it be you? Well, hopefully after today you realize that maybe you bring them back by humility and saying maybe it was me, looking for some feedback, and what happens is, it's amazing. They start telling you the truth. And usually they say, oh, no, it's not you, it's, I'm traveling, my budget, my husband. They tell the truth. You're like, oh, that's good, I feel so much better now. Or they might tell you something else, like, you were a bit pushy. But if you're okay with the truth, you'll clean out the cobwebs of the ghosts, and you'll watch sales rolling in. They'll be so happy. It just changed your life. Okay, so that's I'm leaving you with that. That's very powerful. Thank you so much. Okay.
Awesome, Ari.
Okay.
Well done. So good. And I know Ari does have to get away and get back up to Sydney. So I'm so grateful that Ari cut down. He's actually busy tonight, so he's done a super job.